Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our channel. There have been tussle between the southern Nigeria and the northern Nigeria over the issue of open grazing. Why METL is saying there's no going back. They must look out for the old grazing route, re-establish it so that they will continue their open grazing. The South have been standing firm in their words, saying no open grazing. If you must, they will be looking at ranching, but in the states that permits it, not all states, depending on if the states in southern part permits it. And the president came on and said, look, that they should start looking at the issue of open grazing and all that. So many issues, but right now, one of the states in the southern part of Nigeria have decided to take the bulls by the horns. It's not talking cheap. It's not putting practicality to the words. But before we go to the newspaper to find out what it is, it has put in place to ensure that nothing happens to the agreement. Would like you to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the red subscribe button. Beside it, you see bell notification icon. Please go ahead, click on it to get notified as soon as we update our channel on YouTube. Well, Southern governors had, during their last meeting in Lagos, fixed September as a deadline for open grazing practice, a development which has been subject of controversy. However, a few days after the Southern Governors meeting, the Ogun State Assembly passed the Animal Grazing Regulation and Cattle Ranch Establishment Bill 2020 into law. The lawmakers said this will address incessant clashes between herders and farmers. Long title of the bill reads HB number 045 forward slash 0G, that's OG for Ogun, forward slash 2021, a law to regulate animal grazing, establishment of cattle ranches in designated grazing areas of Ogun State, and for other matters incidental thereto and connected therewith. The bill scaled the third reading and final passage following the presentation of the report of the House Committee on Agriculture by the sponsor Ganiyu Oyedeji at a plenary presided over by the Speaker Olakunle Oluomo. Oyedeji therefore moved the motion for the adoption of the report, seconded by Honorable Olushola Adams and supported by other lawmakers through a voice vote. The legal framework was later read and adopted clause by clause. Thereafter, the majority leader, Yusuf Sharif, moved the motion for the third reading as it was seconded by Honorable Wahab Haruna. The clerk of the House and head of Legislative Services, Deji Adeyemo, took the third reading of the bill before the lawmakers. Part of a section of the bill prescribed a jail term of not less than 3 years without the option of fine. That is stiff and that is strong, including the forfeiture of the heads of cattle and livestock under his or her control to the state government for anyone who rears or herds or grazes any livestock in any part of the state except within the permitted ranches, or anyone who rears cattle or livestock outside the permitted ranches after the commencement of the law. Bakam. Responding, Oluomo directed that the clerk to prepare a clean copy of the bill for the assent of Governor Dapo Abiodun. Hey, this one's already ready. They're already moving. Go on, son. No going back. This is really strong. Honestly, now it looks more practical. And then when you say no open grazing, no open grazing, now there is a law. I know that the next thing we are going to hear, we're expecting there's going to be an opposing ideology very soon. Maybe me to alarm necessarily, because I foresee it coming. Where METL will react to this Ogun State law, saying that it is against their law of movement, of free movement, but you ask the question, free movement of what? Cattle? How many people still do open grazing at this time of life? Technology have moved on, and there's some clauses they put in the laws that are quite interesting. Let's look at the law. They started with if you after the commencement of this law, when this bill is passed into full law, it's already passed just for the governor to do apex his assent and his signature and agreement, and it is good to go. Now, if this is now into practice, and they see you still openly grazing, the laws are stiff. One, you'll be jailed without fine. There's nothing like, okay, the fine is 500,000 and the fine is 1 million. Somebody just pays, how much is it? Okay, we say his fine is how much? 1 million. We'll pay, okay, we'll give you 1.5, keep the change. There's no fine. Okay, and you'll be jailed instantly for 3 years. That is the law of the state. So if you know you cannot follow the due process, don't go to Ogun State and go and do ranching, no, because they have made a law. 3 years ni gbẹrẹgbẹ. There's no removal, no addition, complete. So if you don't want to go to jail, please don't even take your ranches down there. Now if you go there, 3 years without fine, then the worst part of it all is you still lose your heads, this your cattle become state government property. Yes, becomes state government property. So you lose on every count. So if there's a law against open grazing in Ogun State, and there's no law like that in Lagos State, you can go and graze in Lagos. Maybe hopefully Lagos will rise up, and maybe you try Delta State, since Ogun State has decided to make a law and Lagos decides to follow suit. Next thing, you start moving to Delta State. Maybe Delta State will not still follow suit. Before you, bit by bit, the law is getting bolder. Now, if there's a law to that, then you can easily bring in the security agent into the picture, because that's the law of that land and you have to obey it. And that gives a lot of, it gives a sense of belonging. Don't forget, even the president has said that they should begin to create open grazing route with what Ogun State have done. And one unique thing about that law, let's not forget, is the fact that they said that there have to be permitted ranching areas, which means it's not everywhere you just wake up and say, I want to put my ranch here. Go walk. You can't walk. Go walk. So you don't just wake up one morning and say, we'll all put all our grazing routes here. So you have to, find out from the state government where is the ranch, permitted ranch for grazing. If they now say, okay, this part, and I guess there will be some logistics involved. So if you ask me, it's a win-win. But we are expecting that very soon the presidents will react to it, because they will definitely say it is a infringing on their freedom of movement. If it's infringing on your freedom of movement and it is causing another man tears and sorrow, then where your freedom stops is where your freedom stops. That's where another man's own starts. So you don't infringe your own freedom on another man's freedom. It's not fair. Okay, so if you ask me, that's the way to go. That's like putting power to the meeting, putting in authority to the meeting that they've agreed. We've been hearing no open grazing, and we ban open grazing, but we see the cows every other time in the southern part of Nigeria. So it's as if they're just talking. Who is talking? Now with these laws, let's say it's going to be enforced. Don't forget that I'm